Well, hey guys, and welcome to Solar Cabin Channel. Hey, I've got a product that I think a lot of you will be interested in. Today we're going to be looking at this HCalory diesel heater. Now, I am completely unfamiliar with this. I want to tell you straight up front, I have never used a diesel heater before. I'm just getting this out of the box. I'm going to try to follow the instructions, and I am no expert on diesel heaters, okay? Tell you that right up front. So if I say something that is incorrect, some of you people out there in my channel probably even have more experience than I do, definitely, in using these heaters. Please let me know in the comments and straighten me out on anything that I say here. And always look through and follow your instructions for your specific unit, because they do make different models of this. The instructions that I give you may be different than the instructions for a different model. Now, we are getting into fall. It is a beautiful fall day, the end of October, almost November, and our temperatures are starting to drop. We're getting down now below freezing, and so I'm already starting to use heat. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that I use propane with a wood stove backup. I have a lot of experience and have worked with propane for many years. I've never worked with a diesel heater. Propane works really well because it's a multi-use fuel. It can be used for heating, for cooking, for heating up water, running a generator. So it's a very good multi-use fuel. But propane doesn't work well everywhere. It doesn't work really well at high elevations. Some places it may cause a moisture issue because it produces moisture when it heats, which can be a problem and cause condensation in something like a camper or an RV sometimes. So people may be looking for an alternative heater source. So that's why I decided I want to try one of these diesel heaters. And I've read good things about them. I've watched people use them. The fuel efficiency is probably even better than propane. And some places it may be cheaper because diesel may be cheaper in your area than propane is. So this is just an example of an alternative system that we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to go through this heater with the setup and show you how I do it. And I will also, because I have experience with propane, I've been using propane for over 20 years here at my cabin. I will do a lot of comparison of what I find about this. Now, like I said, I've never used this. I have went online and I've researched it, which I recommend you do. Watch some videos and things like that. We're going to be setting this up comparatively. Now, this is an 8 kilowatt. Now, this is on Amazon. It's the HCalory. It is the 8 kilowatt diesel heater. And I had to do some math in my head because I'm used to working with BTUs, or British thermal units, to determine how much that actually works out to be in BTUs. 1 kilowatt is approximately 3,400 BTUs. So this is an 8 kilowatt. It works out to right around 27,000, a little bit more than 27,000 BTUs. Now, in comparison, I am using propane, and my propane heater is a 12,000 BTU. And on low, it will keep my 400 square foot cabin heated up very nicely. This is more than double the amount of heat that it can be produced from my small propane furnace or heater that I use all the time in my cabin. 30,000 BTU heater will heat about 1,000 square foot. This produces about 27,000 BTU, so it should be good to heat. An insulated, sealed structure should be able to heat up anywhere from 850 to probably 900 square feet with just this unit. Now, you can see this is a fairly small unit. It's also fairly lightweight. It's probably about 16 inches long and probably about 8 inches wide, I would say. Fairly lightweight without any fuel in it. Now, it has a fuel tank. Now, this is one thing that I really want to caution you on because this does use a liquid fuel. Okay, it also has an exhaust, and because of that, there is a higher potential for fire from one of these units. And it does recommend this has to be set on some type of legs to keep this from tipping. You can see it would be kind of tippy if you don't have any platform underneath it. So I'm going to be screwing this down. It does have a flange on the bottom with 2 screw holes on both sides. So I'm going to be cutting some wood to make legs to sit underneath this so that it won't tip. And that's what you need to do before you set one of these up. Now I'll go ahead and I'll pull the sides off this, and I will try to explain how these work. Again, if the experts out there can do a better explanation, please let me know in the comment. This has a couple of snaps on both sides. Now this case is metal. I'm assuming it's a type of sheet metal, might be aluminum, might be steel. I'm thinking it's probably aluminum. But this cover does lift off. This cover does come off. It looks like you need to take the filler cap off in order to take it off. And then it slides over, like so. We'll set that out of the way for a minute. And then here is your tank. And it does have a filter with the screen mesh that goes in top of it. Make sure you put that in, and that will keep leaves and debris or any dirt in that from getting inside your diesel tank. And I will talk about types of diesel you can use in this. I'm going to be using number 2 diesel, which is just common diesel you can get at any gas station that sells diesel. It can also be used with number 1 diesel. And in wintertime, we'll talk about that. You may want to be using number 1 diesel. And from what I read, this can also be used with off-road diesel. If you get off-road diesel, that's less expensive because you're not paying the road tax, which is in my area like 32 cents a gallon on road tax. So you'd be saving quite a bit if you use the off-road diesel in this. And from what I have read, you can use either number 2, number 1, or off-road diesel in this appliance. Now there's the tank, and then here's the fuel line, and underneath it, and then inside this unit right here is a chamber, and then it has kind of like a glow plug, if you know, familiar with those. And so what happens is it drips and puts a small amount of diesel. It only takes a small amount, and then it hits that glow plug, and that's what creates the heat inside this chamber right here. And then that heat it draws in fresh air from this side over here, which I'll show you. It has a fresh air intake here, okay? And then it pushes the heat out from this side over here. And then underneath, it has some connections for a muffler. This has to be exhausted outside. You do not want to use this inside without it being exhausted outside. I'm going to be setting this up on my porch where it's protected from the weather, and so it will be exhausted outside all the time. Absolutely, you must vent this outside. This will produce carbon monoxide, which could be very dangerous and kill you. So make sure this is vented outside according to the way they tell you to do it in the instructions. So that is what the unit looks like, and basically how it works. It just drips a small amount of diesel down onto that glow plug. That glow plug heats it up really fast, creates a tremendous amount of combustion in this combustion chamber. The fan blows this through. Now you notice I said fan. This does have an electric fan, a fan that works off of DC voltage. This unit does require a power source. This unit here can be run off of either a 12-volt battery, which I have, or it can be run off a power station with AC, or you could plug it into your AC outlet. So you have 3 different ways that you could power up this for running it in an emergency or for a long-term use. Now, I'll put the cover back on this and I'll do a little bit more explanation. Okay, now on the front of this HCalory unit, this has a control panel. The control panel that goes with the unit, and then it also, you can control this. They include a remote that just has on, off, or plus minus for changing the temperature. And you can also, this also has a Bluetooth app. So you can actually control this with your phone, and I'm going to set it up so I can do both. The Bluetooth app gives you the same controls that you have on this screen here, where this just gives you very simple functions with the remote. So this has 3 different ways that you can actually control this to set the temperature exactly where you want. It also has a timer function, so you can set it for how long you want it to run. I think you can even set it for how many times a day you want it to run, sort of thing, to basically work like a thermostat. So it has quite a few options for how to run this unit. Now, in the box, I'm going to open this up. We're going to take a look and see exactly what kind of fittings it comes with. It says it comes with everything needed to get it running, so we'll check and see what kind of fittings I have here. Okay, so I did look through the instructions, and I'm assuming that is probably part of the muffler pipe. Then it gives you this flexible hose connection with a vent nozzle on it, and this pulls out so you can extend it out longer than it is. It will pull out, okay, and I'm hoping it will pull out long enough. Looks like, I'm guessing probably about 3 feet, because I'm going to have to run this up, and I'm going to run it through a window. I'm hoping that's going to be long enough for what I need to do with it. But it gives you that, and then it also gives you, here is, if you want to run this from DC, directly from a battery, they give you the plug that plugs into the unit, and then this can be connected directly to a 12-volt battery. They give you that. Here is, looks like more of the muffler connection pipes. They give you some, there's the muffler, and it looks like a bracket for holding the muffler on. And then here are some hose clamps for this big pipe here to connect it to the unit. Got some hose clamps and some other clamps in there. Okay, so they did not include the AC to DC adapter. And so I'm going to have to run this probably off of a battery. And it requires 12 volt or 24 volt. It requires 15 amps. Okay, so I do have a battery that I can set out here and run it for, but you need to know that they did not include the AC to DC adapter. I think they sell that separately, so you may want to, if you want to run this off of AC like a power station or something like that, you'll need the AC to DC adapter. I really think they should include that with this, because that may be a way that most people will probably run it, but they include the DC connection so it can be connected directly to a battery. Okay, that's everything that's in the box. I'm going to go ahead and set this up where I want it next to my house. I'm going to get some feet mounted on this so it's not so tippy. And then we'll go ahead and put this to a test. I want to compare it, use it. Oh, I've got a gallon of diesel here. I'm going to run a gallon of diesel through it and compare it to how efficient my propane works and see if it lasts about as long and about what the expense will be. So stick around and I'll go through all the comparisons with you. Okay, guys, so Van has come down and joined me today. He brought his some foam board that he had left over because we're going to use this as a temporary barrier, and I'm going to run this heater through my window. Now, this is probably not the best way to do this, but we're going to make it work to test this out. And because the duct on this is kind of short, they don't give you very much duct, we're going to have to raise this unit up, probably put some bricks or something under it. I've got this mounted to some feet, so you can see I put some 2x6s. I cut two 2x6s, and then it has a flange, and I screwed that down into those 2x6s, so that way this isn't going to tip. All right, very steady. I'm going to secure this bench to my house right here, so there won't be any possibility that this thing is going to tip. I can't even put some screws through this if I wanted to directly to the bench. But the duct vent they sent is not very long. I would really like a lot longer duct vent, so we may have to raise this up because this has to go from this outlet right here up through the window, and then he's going to cut me down a piece of foam to go inside this window and put a hole in it, and then we're going to run this through into the cabin. So I'm setting this up kind of as a temporary situation. If you were using this heater like in an emergency and you had one and your power went out or something like that, you could set this up with a battery to keep enough heat going on in your house to survive until the power come back on or whatever disaster it is that you're dealing with. But you could mount these a lot better with some permanent flue. What would you recommend for something like this?
Triple-walled hard pipe.
Okay, triple wall hard pipe. Now he's an HVAC expert. He knows this stuff. So, but we're going to use, this is what it comes with. We're going to use this, and we're also going to stick a heat gun on this to see how hot this actually gets, to see whether this is safe. But for now, we're going to go ahead and set it up the way that they send it with the duct that they're using. All right, he's going to cut this down. Go ahead.
The good thing about the difference between this, so what this pipe is the heat, like a heater, fan, so to speak, pushing heat into the home. So that is different than exhaust. It won't be as hot as exhaust, but I'm going to still guess it's going to be pushing 150 degrees or more.
Yeah, we'll test it with I've got a thermal gun. We'll test it and see exactly how much heat comes out of that, because we want this to be safe for everybody. I want it to be safe here at my house, and that's why we're going through the extra precautions of making sure everything's secure. You're working with a fuel supply and heat. If something happens, if this tipped over, you could have a fire, set your whole place on fire. So I want to make sure that you understand, follow the manufacturer's directions, follow all the safety precautions when you're setting one of these up. All right, so he's going to go cut that down, and I'm going to work on mounting this so that we can get it up a little bit higher. Okay, guys, well, Van's working on my window up here. I went ahead and put the fixtures on this. This does have an L that comes off. This is the exhaust pipe right here. It does have a flexible L, and then it does have a muffler, which I'll show you here. It has a muffler that goes on this. And then this is the fresh air intake, and it comes out through the side, and it has a filter, sort of. it has a plastic piece that goes over the end of that to keep bugs and stuff like that from entering, or leaves or garbage or something like that. I wouldn't exactly call it a filter. It's more of just a plastic fitting that keeps stuff from going inside it. And it does come with the hose clamps, which you need to connect your hose clamps. It does have a groove, so you can't really get this backwards. This has to go on there this way. And then I'll show you up here. This does have a muffler of sorts to muffle the sound more than anything. And you do need to run this exhaust outside. This does have an exhaust here. This exhaust absolutely has to be outside. This absolutely has to be outside. You must exhaust this outside. This is going to produce some carbon monoxide, and it's going to travel through this and out through the muffler, which keeps the sound from being as loud as it should be. This pipe can get very, very hot, so do not put this next to anything that might be flammable at all. All right, so those are the two fittings. I'm going to set this back up on its feet. We're going to raise it up because we're about ready to put the pipe through the window here and then give this a test. So here we go. Okay, folks, so we've got this set up now. We've got it on blocks. I've raised it up on a cinder block. Van has put in our foam board, and we put some heavy-duty aluminum around this vent so it's not going to melt that foam board. We've got this very stable. I put in some L brackets to hold this, so this isn't going to tip or fall over anywhere. This is the exhaust. Like I said, the exhaust has to be outside. You cannot put this inside and run this inside. This is the air intake over here, and we've got it filled up with a gallon of fuel. We've got a handy-dandy fire extinguisher sitting right here next to us, just in case we start this up and something goes wrong.
Because
you want to have.
One of the things that I had asked when he first pulled out this exhaust was, does it have a spark arrestor? What a spark arrestor does is any particulates that are going to come out that are like an actual physical flame, it will kind of stop it. This does not have it.
Yeah.
So,
now, if they didn't include one, we will fashion one probably out of a little piece of screen. We'll put over this with a hose clamp to make a spark arrestor. But we're going to go with what the equipment they send with it here. We've got the duct running up through and in. It does have a adjustable nozzle, so you can kind of aim the heat wherever you want it to go. This is set up so that it's insulated, not letting the cold air go through. So we're going to start this up. Now this does have a remote. We'll see if this remote works to turn it on. And now this is set up with a battery, which I'll raise up here. I'm using one of my 12-volt batteries, and it does include the cable to connect to your battery. That powers the fan and also powers the controller, and it just has a plug in the back of it here. You can also probably also get an AC to DC converter, so you could run this off of AC if you want to, or a power station. All right, so we're going to see if this starts up. Turned on. Here's my LED control here, and the controller's on. You can hear the fan starting to work. Now it says it takes about 3 to 5 minutes for this to start producing heat.
for the glow plug.
Yeah, because it's got a glow plug in there that has to heat up first. It has to reach the right temperature. It also is self-priming from what it says. So it should prime itself with the fuel, and then as soon as that glow plug reaches temperature, it should start producing heat. We're going to find out. It says it takes about 3 to 5 minutes, so it's not instant heat. You can tell it's cycled up. Took about 3 minutes, it says, and you could hear it running. And now it's feeding that diesel in here, and I can feel heat coming out of the exhaust.
Yeah, I can smell the exhaust.
Okay, and so it should now be producing heat on the inside. And we'll go in, and I can use this remote. It has a plus or minus, so I can change the temperature using the remote from inside. So now we'll go inside, and we'll see how much heat we're producing in there. Okay, so you can see we've got this foam board here. This is the outlet vent, and it's actually producing really good heat coming out of this vent. We've got it kind of angled so it will go down to the floor and then rise as it goes in, but it's actually producing a lot of heat.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll let you come in and check this out. It's producing a lot of heat. And I think that's just on low.
I thought it might.
Let me see what we're doing. Yeah, it's going to heat this up really fast in here. And so we've got a lot of good heat coming in there. And this will warm this up in here. And then I'm going to have to play with the controls to figure out how to set it for low, high, and set timing and everything on it. But as you can see, we've got this sealed, so I'm not losing cold air out of it using a foam board. We've got aluminum around it, and really producing really good heat. So I'm going to let Van come in here. He can check it out.
Okay, so that's setting H3. I'm going to guesstimate That's 120 degrees blowing.
At least that's a good amount of heat. With this door closed, that's going to warm this up really fast in here. I can tell right now.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's good air heat. And this is dry heat, and that's important. Yeah. Now, with propane heat, you get a lot of moisture, so you can get problems with condensation in RVs. That's one of the reasons that a lot of people may not be able to use propane. Diesel heat like this is a dry heat. It's not producing any moisture, so it's not going to create condensation if you're using this for an RV or someplace where you're in high humidity areas and you don't want moisture building up in intensity. That's very warm. I'm impressed at how warm this is. And that's not on high. That's just on low 3, okay? So I'm going to warm this up real fast in here. We're going to go ahead and test this over time. I put 1 gallon of fuel in, and so I'm just going to use this now for as long as I need to, just turning this on and off as I need to see how many days 1 gallon of diesel will last me. Okay, and I'm just estimating that I'm going to get at least 2 days and probably 3 or maybe even more days out of this, because my cabin is 200 square foot. It is well insulated and fairly well sealed, so I don't need, except to turn this on for maybe 10, 15 minutes in an hour at nighttime when it's real cold. That's probably as much as I'm going to need to run this. And I've got a remote so I can do that. Just click it on, let it run for maybe 10, 15 minutes, warm up the cabin, and turn it back off. So I'm thinking it's going to work. All right, so what do you think, Van? I think it's decent.
Well, like I said, before we ever kicked it on, I thought it might push out 150 degrees, and it might on a higher setting.
Oh, yeah, it'll go much higher than what it is.
But easily, that's 120 degrees right now, just by feeling it.
Yeah, and that's on a low 3, and I will play with the settings to see exactly how hot it'll get in here. And I've got a thermal gun that I can measure it, which I will be doing, because I'm going to be doing more testing over time as I use this. But this is a setup video, show you how I would do it. Not necessarily recommended for everybody else, but this is the way I've set it up here for emergency heat system. So that if you are in such as a disaster situation like they just had from the hurricanes, and if you've got one of these heaters with a few gallons of diesel, you could probably keep your places nice and warm. Again, this will heat up. Yeah, this will heat up to 850, 900 square foot. My cabin's only 200 square foot on the lower level, another 200 square foot up above, which I really don't heat in the wintertime. So I'm only heating up 200 square foot in a well-insulated cabin. Should last a very long time on just a gallon of fuel. So that's the next test. We're going to put this to work over the next few days and see how long that gallon of fuel lasts. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate Van coming over with his experience with HVAC. And I think this is going to be a good system for an alternative heating system for people that may not want to use propane, or you could use this as a backup system even if you're using propane. Depending on the cost, it might be cheaper to run a diesel heater like this than it would be a propane heater. All right, folks, have a great day.